Welcome to another All About Symbian video. Here we're previewing the Nokia N95 8GB, and in the first part of this video we'll take a quick look at the N95 8GB and remind ourselves of some of the features. It's running S63rd edition Feature Pack 1, which means a whole suite of applications and software. As before, the 5 megapixel camera is one of the key functions of the N95. You can see it here on the back of the device. Also key are the media playback features, and here we see the phone in landscape mode with the top slide visible with the multimedia controls. Of course, GPS remains a core feature as well. There's now support for assisted GPS for faster lock-ons, and the Maps software has been updated to the latest version. The most obvious software change to the N95 8GB is the new multimedia menu. This is really the first implementation we'll see of the Nokia OV brand strategy. The multimedia menu is made up of a carousel of panes, as we can see here, with access to all the key functions, software and services on the phone. If we go into the music here, you'll see that we go into the usual music playback application with the ability to browse through your music collection, look at albums, look at artists and so on. This will also go in, of course, to the music playing application, which has support for album art and the usual playback controls. Going back to the multimedia menu, we can see that it also works for other features. Here, for example, we see the Engage game, which will ship on the N95 8GB, although we should note it will also be available for the classic N95. In this case, we're seeing the preview application, which would invite you to download the full application. The full application includes the ability to download and play Engage games, with a cost ranging from €6 to €10. The application, as we can see in this next clip, also gives you the ability to see your own profile, your friend's profile, and generally interact with others in the community. Going back to the multimedia menu, we'll now take a look at an example of another application, in this case web. Here we can see we load the Financial Times website, and the browser starts as with the music player and the Engage application. The N95 8GB doesn't really change much software wise, but the new multimedia menu should make it easier for novices to access software. I've only briefly summarised the N95 8GB feature here. They're much the same as the N95, so you can also see the N95 reviews available on allaboutsymbian.com. Although the N95 8GB shares a feature set with the N95, there are quite a number of hardware and a few software differences which are worth summarising, and so in the second part of this video I'm going to go through the key differences between the N95 and the N95 8GB. First up is the battery, the capacity of which has been increased to 1200 mAh. This is about a 25% increase over the N95 and should mean that the N95 8GB has no problems getting through at least 24 hours of use. Second is the bigger screen. It's been increased from 2.6 inches on the N95 to 2.8 inches on the N95 8GB. It's also brighter, crisper and performs better in outside conditions. Third is the 8GB of internal flash memory for storing all your multimedia. Note that this replaces the micro SD card slot found on the N95. Fourth is the increase in RAM from 64 MB to 128 MB. However, this is effectively a quadrupling of RAM due to the fact that the amount used at startup is the same. This should mean that it's possible to open any number of applications on the N95 8GB at the same time, and this contrasts with the N95, where, for example, if you open both Gallery, Web and the camera application, one of them would be guaranteed to close. Thus this change should make multitasking on the N95 8GB much easier and generally improve the user experience. Fifth are the top slide keys, or the multimedia playback control keys. As you can see, these are now slightly dimpled and have been raised. This means that they have better tactile feedback and are generally easier to press than before. 6 are the control keys. These have been slightly shrunk in order to accommodate the larger screen, but the outer keys have been raised slightly so that they should be easier to press despite their decreased size. 7th is the absence of a lens cover on the 5 megapixel camera on the rear of the device. This is a result of a design change necessitated by the presence of the larger battery that we mentioned earlier. 8th are the changes in the multimedia menu. The applications available are broadly the same, but you can access a lower level of functionality from the menu than previously possible. However, on the downside, the menu itself is less customizable on the new version. Finally, there are a number of software tweaks These include the camera, where there's better performance in terms of startup and picture capture time. Also, the N-Gage application will be installed by default, although it's also available for the N95 Classic. Then there's the search application that's available from the idle screen. This allows you to search through the content of your device as well as search on the internet. Similar to the N-Gage functionality, there's also going to be a pre-installed link to the Nokia Music Store under a new music folder in the application launcher. There are changes in the music and podcasting software that allow you to bookmark a podcast halfway through so you can resume playing it at a later time. And there are likely to be further changes that we learn about when the device is released. So to summarise, the N95 8GB offers the same functionality as the N95 but has a number of significant software tweaks, but more importantly hardware changes which significantly improve the usability of the device. Most notable among these are the increased RAM, the larger screen and the redesigned keys.